Hi, welcome to Senior Moments Successful Aging. I'm Mary Beals-Luedtka, your host. I'm the Director for Area Agency on Aging at NACOG, and you can reach us toll-free at 877-521-3500. Senior Moments Successful Aging is co-sponsored by the Division of Lifelong Learning at Yavapai College and the Area Agency on Aging. It's co-produced by Connie Varga at Yavapai College, and she could be reached at 928-717-7755, and Allie Bateman at the Area Agency on Aging, and you can reach her at that toll-free number, 877-521-3500. Again, welcome. And welcome to our guest, Dave Irvine. Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. So this is the first time we've met, and I'm excited about delving into what you do. You are the Executive Director for the Highlands Center for Natural History.
Yes.
So I want to ask a little bit about where you come from and how you got to Prescott.
Yeah, well, I've been in the environmental education, nature education field all of my career, and starting out at Penn State, getting a degree in Parks and Recreation, and then have just been in the field ever since, and did a lot of work early in my career with getting kids and children outdoors. That's always a strong passion of mine, getting kids connected to nature. But now, more recently, getting everybody connected to nature. And so I spent a lot of my career in Ohio and directed several different nature centers back in Ohio. And came here 10 years ago to Prescott because my wife and I had always traveled out west, and we were always so impressed by the western United States, and thought that this would be a great place to move to someday if the opportunity presented itself. And so we learned about Prescott through the Highlands Center for Natural History that was advertising for a new executive director, and applied, and we've been here 10 years.
Excellent. And I bet you found it was just as beautiful as you thought.
Oh yes, yeah. I'd never been to Prescott before my job interview, and but we had traveled through northern Arizona, through Flagstaff, and up through the Grand Canyon, and out on the reservations, and really loved just the openness and the big sky, and of course the community of Prescott is just a really unique community, both in terms of what it offers to people, and then the environment and what surrounds us, and so it's just been great. We've loved it here.
And what a great place to work on natural history.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you know, and so I remember, what did I take? Man and His Environment in college was one of my favorite electives.
Yeah.
What an interesting course it was.
Yeah.
So you were with, how do you say, Cuyahoga? Cuyahoga Valley Environmental Education. That was the one in Ohio.
That was in Ohio.
And you were the past president of the Environmental Education Council, also of Ohio, which you failed to mention. So you have some accolades behind you as well.
Thanks.
And went to Penn State, as you said. So let's talk about the natural history.
Okay.
You know, the center, the Highlands Center, and what's going on there.
Yeah.
And, you know, all about why we connect with nature, why it's important, because we did talk briefly before we started, and I know that's a passion of yours. So there's many different things that are apparent, but maybe not to everybody.
Yeah, well, the Highlands Center, it's an interesting story because it started because of a grassroots movement here in town, long before I arrived on the scene. And local folks just wanted to have a program to educate mostly children in our public schools at that point. But we were based out on the Community Nature Center near Granite Mountain School, where that's at now. Now that's open space holding of the city of Prescott. But it was just a small little land lab, if you will, to get children outside, and mostly working with Prescott Public Schools. And then they began expanding to work with other school districts as well, bringing kids in from Chino Valley and Prescott Valley and Humboldt area. And but it was very small. It's a beautiful little piece of property out there, but it's very small, and it's very kind of encroached on by development and houses and such. And so they realized in the late 90s that if they were going to really grow and expand and offer more services to the public, they needed a new piece of property. And so they approached Prescott National Forest as a partner, and the Forest Service was very agreeable, and so that led to the creation of the Lynx Lake campus out on Walker Road, just near the Lynx Lake recreation area. And so that began in the 90s, and then a capital campaign and a building, and trails were built, and program expanded to all age groups, to all regionally throughout the region, of trying to get people outdoors. And that's been a passion of mine ever since I was a child. And I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is not what you consider a great nature environmental area, but we had a very large backyard and a very old house, and
Nice.
And I spent most of my time growing up outside. And that really had a formation on who I was as a person, and what I wanted to do as a career. And the benefits of getting people outside. It's fun. We always have known some of this before for all age groups, but it's fun that research now, science is catching up with what a lot of us knew instinctively, that we need a connection with something bigger than ourselves, that we need a connection with nature, not just because we need to take care of it and be good stewards of nature. We need to learn how it works. That's very important. But it's about stewarding ourselves as well. We need it as much as nature needs us. So.
Because we are a part of it.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, we like to live in the illusion, I like to say, of not being part of nature. And we've done very well creating that illusion and getting better and better at it as we get more technologically inclined. But we need more than looking at nature through a screen, whether that's a television screen or now our phone screens or our computer screens. And it's funny with children, sometimes they'll know more about the rainforest because they watch TV programs about the rainforest and they know about what's out in their backyard. And that's really scary.
That's scary.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing.
Right.
That's really scary.
Yeah, so we need experiences, when I was growing up, and we'll get, I'll just talk a little bit about children, but when I was growing up, I was told to go outside and play.
Me too.
Often for hours, and in the summertime, I'd eat breakfast and I'd be gone, I'd check back in at lunch and have to be called back in at supper. And I think that was the experience of a lot of people in our generation. Yeah. And it wasn't that we had bad parents. Our parents actually knew more than they probably understood. And now today, so much has changed, both in terms of perceived safety that parents have about sending their kids out. Maybe a little lack of community because you really knew your neighbors back then. Today, not maybe so much. And just the schedule. So a lot of kids are so overbooked, with so many things, and have their own planners, and so time just to play outside has been gone in the last generation. So we have now parents who are young parents who really haven't had that experience either. And so it's scary because research has shown us that there's really positive effects that time had on us and can have on children today. And even newer research is showing that positive benefit doesn't end when we are not children anymore.
For seniors.
Yes.
So I think, because I'm a senior, so
I'm getting there myself.
Yeah, the stress levels.
Yes.
You see so many more children diagnosed with stress-related conditions.
Absolutely.
And they're not spending any time outside. And one has to wonder, maybe that should be a prescription.
Yeah, well, it is in other countries.
There you go.
If you go to Japan, there's been something called forced bathing in Japan.
Wow. See?
for several years, maybe decades, actually. And doctors have actually prescribed to their patients, whether they're young or older, prescribed time outside in nature to deal with chronic kind of stress and anxiety kind of issues. And, our approach in our country has been more medication, for all generations. And a lot of that medication may not even be necessary if you spend more time outside.
Yeah, but see, nobody makes money by sending somebody outside. I'm sorry, I'm going to say that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that, but it's probably true.
I mean, nobody's making dollars on that, but if we're going to look at our overall health, we need places like the Highlands Center.
Yeah.
So we go, and it is a beautiful center. I have been there.
Yeah.
You know, and it amazes me how many people that I talk to, and they just drive right by and they don't even know it's there.
Yeah, yeah. Our name is a little confusing to people. It's really perfect for our mission because natural history is really the study of nature and man's or humans' relationship to the natural world.
Right.
But a lot of people hear natural history and their first thought is dinosaurs, and because of natural history museums
Yeah.
throughout the country. And so that name sometimes is a barrier for us. We love it as it relates to our mission, but it's a barrier. Sometimes people see the sign on Walker Road and don't know what we are.
Yeah.
But if you drive in, you're suddenly welcomed by a beautiful green space and a beautiful forest and a beautiful facility that his goal is to try to make that transition back to the natural world happen for all people, all ages.
And one of the nice things too is you have some beautiful trails that are ADA accessible.
Yes.
So if someone's on a wheelchair or walking with a walker, it's not a deterrent. You can still get out there.
Yes.
And enjoy.
Yeah, and we've invested, thanks to the generosity of this community, over probably $1 million in the last few years to make that even easier.
Nice.
And one of the aha moments for me several years ago was we were working with the VA here in town, and we had a couple volunteers who were really engaged over there and brought VA residents out to the Highlands Center. And a number of them were physically disabled. They were in wheelchairs or on walkers. And we took them out on our old ADA trail, which is graded at ADA levels, but the surface is decomposed granite, and it's compacted, but it's still a very slippery surface. So basically, we had to have a one-on-one able-bodied person with a wheelchair person to make that experience happen. But the experience of the veterans who were out there just was overwhelming to me, how excited they were to be outside, how for many of them, this was a connection that they had earlier in life and had lost the ability to connect with nature again. And how grateful they were for just a 1 hour walk through the forest in their chairs. And that moment to me when I saw that reaction was, we have to do more of this. We have to make this available so that it doesn't take so much effort for us as an organization and volunteers that we have working for us to make that happen for these vets and other people as well. So that kind of began the whole process of us looking at, one of the things that was on our strategic plan was creating something called the Discovery Gardens, which initially started off as being a way for people to learn about the native plant communities here in the Central Highlands of Arizona. And it is still that focus, but what happened through the planning process of that Discovery Gardens project was that another goal emerged as equally important. And the goal that emerged out of that was accessibility into nature for all people. And so we have now about a half a mile trail that goes through different outdoor exhibits that's paver based. So it's made with brick pavers and ADA graded accessibility. So a very hard surface. And it's completely accessible.
Nice.
And even a person self-wheeling themselves in a wheelchair can navigate most of it without any problem. There's one little incline that might be a little bit of a challenge if the upper body strength isn't there. But anybody who's, a walker or, and even on the other side of the issue, even a young parent with a baby in a stroller can get out into nature. And so that, and that became the thing that motivated people to donate. That became the thing that motivated now us in our operations. The gardens opened in 2017 and have been very well attended. And you can just come out and stroll at your leisure and have that experience with nature without having to go and physically exert yourself on a very difficult trail or on a trail that's full of boulders. And we have some wonderful trails in Prescott full of boulders that I love going on. A lot of people love going on, but not everybody can hike on a trail following the white dots through the boulders.
Right.
So this is something that you don't have to have that kind of level of physical commitment to or ability to do, and still have that wonderful experience in the outdoors.
I have not seen that new trail, so I need to get out there.
Yeah.
Because that's, gosh, we're almost to 2019. So
Yeah.
I need to get out there again. And I'm glad you brought up the thing about the baby strollers. It's when we first talked about the cut curbs. Everyone thinks, oh, it's for the disability community. No, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
Bicyclists like them. People with strollers like them,
Yeah,
the whole bit.
exactly.
It's for everybody.
It is for
It's for
everybody.
everybody. So, it's nice. So is that the James Family Discovery Gardens?
Yes.
That's what you call them?
That's what we call it.
Okay.
Yes. It's beautiful, and it's really been great this summer because what we've also done is planted different exhibits, if you will, living exhibits of different biological communities here in the Central Highlands. So you can visit sometime in a small little grasslands, or you can go into the Ponderosa Pine Forest, or you can go into the mixed forest that we call that kind of has oak and juniper mixed in with the Ponderosa, or you can go down to a little riparian area that we're planting riparian species, water-loving species, and in each one of those areas has a bench. So if you want to just go and sit on the bench, and we have lots of benches throughout the whole garden,
Nice.
Which was, again, one of our goals. So if you don't have that physical endurance, you can just walk a little ways, stop, enjoy, spend 10 minutes, whatever you want, and then walk a little bit farther, experience another community, and have that kind of experience in nature.
A nice new addition, and it's interesting because, because of your experience with the vets, that started you thinking about it, because you heard that story, it
Yeah.
created a new awareness,
Yes, it did. It really did.
a new awareness. And we have a huge veteran population here in Prescott.
do.
You have a lot of education programs too.
We do. We believe in lifelong learning, as our sponsor does.
I love it.
But we find that a lot of even adults move here from other areas and throughout the country, California, the Midwest, and they're really moving into a whole new ecological area. So we like to pride ourselves as being the organization that helps them learn about their new neighborhood. And from an ecological perspective, what their new neighbors are, what the plant communities are, what the animal life that you're sharing the environment with, and learn how to be a good steward and caretaker in that new environment that you're in. So we do a lot of education programs for adults, and of course, like I said before, a lot of programs for kids. We work with school districts throughout the region who bring kids for field trips, and from as far away as Cottonwood and other Congress and other outlying rural areas that have brought children up to us to get an experience in the Ponderosa Pine Forest.
I think you have something about bugs lighting up at night for kids. That I heard about from a dear friend has a little boy.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's all he talked about.
Yeah.
Was when he went to the center was the bugs that light up at some kind of night tour.
We have a few of what we call our nature festivals, and one of them was called Bugaboo Bliss,
fun.
Which was a program for families, mostly geared for kids, but adults, the parents learned as much as the kids did to learn about insects, because sometimes our first reaction to insects is not always a positive one.
Right.
And and to learn about the positive values of insects and how to live with them and how important they are to the ecology of the region. And so we do programs like that. We have two coming up in October here, family festivals. One is our ethnobotany festival, which we're actually learning about plants. And how plants are important to us, and how we as humans have used plants over time. And a lot of our medications even today that we take as we age are derived from byproducts of plants, or from at least the chemical chain that we've learned about from plants. So plants are really our first pharmacy, if you will. And so this program is an intergenerational program where we'll learn about plants, and there'll be different stations set up throughout the Discovery Gardens that people just that wander through and kind of learn all about the native plant life. And then our other popular program for family is our Halloween Happening, which happens on the Friday before Halloween every year, and it's also in the gardens at night. And we take things that people might be scared of, things like bats and other animals that come out at night and that are associated with Halloween. But we educate about those animals, that they're not really that scary, and it's not a haunted house. It's walking through the forest at night, through the Discovery Gardens. It has some light, some nice trail lighting on it as well, and just learning about that nature. And again, there are intergenerational programs, so you don't have to have kids to come to those programs. You can just come, and there'll be probably a lot of kids there, but that's also a nice positive connection as we age to interact with children. And we have about 150 volunteers actively engaged in the Highlands Center, and I would guess about 85 to 90% of them are retirees. And they come out and they engage with children, and they teach those kids coming from those school programs that are coming from Cottonwood and other places and all through Prescott. And they interact with them. And, for a while, sometimes we're growing, we're serving more kids, and you're always worrying about, are we adding too much to their plate? Because we ask them to do a lot. But so many of them get such much back and get such a reward back from service in that it makes you feel good, because it gives us kind of a direction and purpose and an interaction with people younger than ourselves.
Well, and we need that. And so that was going to be my next question. You segued right into that about volunteering, and that if somebody wanted to volunteer, they just need to call the Highlands Center. And what's the number? 928-776-9550. Or they could go to our website, which is highlandscenter.org. Okay.
And get an S on Highlands, highlandscenter.org. Okay. And there's volunteer applications there that can be downloaded and sent in. And so you just fill out the application. Our volunteer coordinator will set up an interview with you. And for some people, working with kids is not what they want to do. And the nice thing about volunteering is that you decide where you want to plug in. And we have an active crew of guys who help us with our maintenance around the property and fix things and build things. And we have people working on our store. We have a gift shop there at the Highlands Center. We have some who just come in and work the store, interact with visitors as they come in and out. We have opportunities working in the office, helping us with database management and those kind of things as well. So it's not just all working with children. So it's whatever the volunteer wants to share their passion. Sometimes we find people have careers that they still want to keep working in and share that passion and share that talent. And other times we have people who have their careers and they don't want to do that anymore. So they want to do something completely different than their careers. One of our best docents working with children who have done it, who's done this for years, was an executive for a car company, and never had worked really with kids, never had time, a lot of times even with his own kids growing up, because he was so busy as being an executive. And now he's one of our greatest and most talented volunteers working with docents.
And that's one of the ways to keep healthy too, is having a purpose.
Yeah.
And we'd like to make sure that, our viewers learn about all these different volunteering opportunities. So, a great way to do that is to check that website out. But you obviously followed your passion in life.
I did.
What a great job.
Well, I was fortunate. It's not the most lucrative career choice as far as, and I'll probably be working past my normal retirement
Me too.
age. But I feel very lucky that I was able to turn my passion into a career.
Yeah.
And I really encourage kids when they're talking about careers to think about that, because it's, yes, we need a good lifestyle, we need to sustain ourselves, but there's a point where how much money is enough money, and you really need to follow your passion. And we have some folks too who have made their financial contribution and early in life, and now are following their passion, and maybe can contribute and write checks to fund it, and also get involved personally. So there are different ways to go about it, but I feel fortunate that I've been able to do that in my career.
I bet you're excited to go to work every day.
Well, yeah, well, most days.
Every job has its
Yeah,
stuff.
every job has its challenge, and running a small nonprofit is not necessarily an easy job.
No.
But you need, when I get tired and when I get a little burned out on the administrative kind of side,
I relate.
what I need to do is go out and watch what my educators are doing. We have four full-time educators that work at the Highlands Center and work with kids and train the docents to work with kids. And so what I need to do is go out and watch them in action because they inspire me to go back behind the scenes again. And I used to do that when I was in my 20s and 30s. I used to be the person outside educating adults and kids about nature. And now, my role is different. And I can take reward in that role when I see what happens on the ground because we have donors that I've talked to that say, yeah, I want to get involved, I want to support that. And so now I can pay four educators to be able to be out there and expand the services that we're offering to this community.
And I can so relate to that because then if you go back to the ground, it reminds you of the vision and why you're doing what you do. And sometimes as administrators, we have to do that.
Absolutely.
I have to go out with my care coordinators and realize who we're serving. And I love also the fact that with the vets, if anybody has never spent even a week in a hospital, to go back out of that hospital and be able to touch something real is an amazing experience for your whole well-being, physical, mental, spiritual.
Absolutely. And we haven't even talked about spiritual, but I believe that's really a key reason for that connection with nature. And, most every faith tradition that you look at has a part of that tradition that connects with the creation or with nature, however you define that. And if you're locked inside all day, you can't get that. You can't feel that power in your life, and it can be very healing, and it can emotionally, spiritually, even physically. And we really need to get people out at all ages. And I agree with you, and so much. And it's fun because now if you go on the internet and you search, nature and aging, or search nature and health, you'll get all kind of hits, and you'll find all kind of studies out there that are documenting what we instinctively know, that we know in our hearts, we know in our souls that we need that. And somehow we let ourselves get talked out of that by technology or media or whatever that would happen to be. And now they're actually showing that, yes. I mean, there's one study that I love that looks at health recovery after surgery, and they compared hospital rooms that looked out over nature versus hospital rooms and patients that looked at a court or a wall. And they found people get better faster, even if they're just looking out the window at a natural scene. And our healthcare professions are starting to
starting to realize that.
Yeah.
So thank you for your passion, Dave Irvine. Thank you for being with us today. Get outside. Kids, put your phones down, and seniors, put your phones down.
Yeah.
I can't wait to come out and see the new gardens. Dave Irvine from the Highlands Center, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure, Mary.
What a joy.
Thanks.
This is Mary Beals-Luedtka. Until next time.